Okay, hi everyone. My name's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. I don't really have a channel. I have like 3 videos that I made in college. But today I'm going to be filming a get ready with me and talk about my life. So my face is primed and ready to go and everything. So I'm going to start with if you can see this, just the IT Cosmetics CC cream as like a base layer. So, a little bit about me. I went to school in Northwestern. I'm originally from Texas, so I moved up to Evanston for school, and while I was there, I studied a lot of things. So I went mainly, the appeal for Northwestern was the dual degree program between Weinberg, which is the College of Arts and Sciences, and being in the School of Music. So I went and studied political science for Weinberg and then classical musical performance in Benin. While I was there, I took a couple of classes my freshman year relating to legal studies, and I really enjoyed learning more about our legal system and just the way that the world works. So I ended up getting a minor in legal studies as well. And then I ended up adding, like my senior year, I ended up adding an integrated marketing and communication certificate. So I had 2 degrees, 1 minor, and 1 certificate. I did not graduate in 4 years. I graduated in 4 years and 2 quarters. Yeah, 2 quarters. So Northwestern runs on the quarter system. So it's 3 quarters a year, and then summer, which counts as its own quarter. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. I met a lot of my really close friends there. I do miss it, and it was hard, but I loved my time there. I didn't join a lot of clubs. There was a time, like my freshman or sophomore year, when I felt really involved, because everyone you meet at Northwestern is in what feels like 9 million clubs, and you're always like, how do you have double major and double minor and you're president of 6 clubs? That's just the way that campus culture is. But the only club that I was really involved and invested in was my sorority. I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I don't even think you can tell because all of the writing has fallen off. That just shows how much I love this product. But yeah, so I rushed and I became pretty involved. I was philanthropy chair, and then I was president for a year, and then COVID hit, and it's a crazy time. But I did have a really fun time in the sorority, and I met 2 of my really close friends in it. So I'll always be grateful. And people don't understand that sororities are just so different in the Midwest than they are in the South. Coming from Texas, I don't know what I expected. I was never really knew I was gonna rush. And then I had a couple of friends who actually went to Northwestern who were a couple of years older than I was, and they ended up rushing and really enjoyed their time. So I was like, I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. And just the way that it, my experience was so different than some of my other friends who went to college in the South and rushed is kind of crazy. I can do another story about that another time. But yeah, other than that, I was a peer advisor at Northwestern, which is basically just an orientation leader. And I met a couple of really good friends that way as well. All to say that what I'm doing now with my life is never something that I had anticipated. I work at a tech startup now as a project manager, and I thought I was gonna go to law school when I joined Northwestern. I thought I was gonna go that whole legal woman badass route, and then now I work from home in tech, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so I finished my base CC cream and my concealer, so I'm going in with this Merit, I think it's called the Beauty Bronzer. I could be wrong, but it's basically a bronzer stick, and this is a shade lighter than I would usually go for contour, but I think that this gives my face a little bit more color before I go in with bronzing, just because I look quite pale right now. I got kind of tan over winter break and I never really adjusted my foundation or my concealer, so this is just what I'm gonna have to work with. But going back to career paths, like I never really thought I was going to end up in tech, and I feel like anytime you talk to anybody that works in tech, that's what they always say, unless they're like software developers or engineers. But I work as a project manager. I really like my job because I never really thought that that was a career path for me. Like being a project manager is not something that's, you know, widely promoted on college campuses, unlike, you know, investment banking or like consulting is a huge one. But project managers, for me, it really just utilized a lot of the soft skills that I had already been doing in leadership roles that I held in college. And also I interned with this company before I joined full time, and everyone was just so nice, which I think is quite rare to find in the corporate world these days. So yeah, I'm really happy where I am. So now I'm going to take the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores translucent powder and kind of dab that all over my face to really seal in the base that I have. But going back to careers, that's just all to say that, you know, please don't limit yourself to one career or one journey just because like you think that that's your only option. The older that I get and the more that I am exposed to the corporate world, the more that I feel like what you got your degree in like doesn't matter. Like what matters is you got the degree, but like your major, everything like that doesn't really matter. So just take that chance, get that job, get that bag, and do what you want to do. Now for bronzer, going in, I just actually recently got this Hoola Caramel. I never actually tried the original Hoola because I've never really been like a bronzer girly, but we're gonna give it a go. I tried it the other day and it's actually quite pigmented, so I'm a little bit scared, but hopefully it's gonna be okay. Oh, and I have quite a bit of a round face, so I like a little bit of like, I want a snatched look, you know? Okay. I gotta fix this. Okay, I think what might help is if I kind of contour my nose a little bit. Or either that or I just like messed everything up, but we'll see. Do I look tan? Do I look like I've just been on vacation even though it's like below freezing in Chicago? Also, another thing is like, I'm so glad that I stayed in Chicago after graduation, especially because like most of my friends are still here. Like I cannot imagine moving to a new city after graduation and like not knowing anyone, because I like to be in my safe little bubble and I like to have my friends close by. I also do though feel quite homesick a lot, even though I do travel back and forth between Chicago and Dallas a lot. Like it's just not, I mean, you guys know, like it's not the same when you go back home after you've been to college or after you've spent like months living in your own city, you have your own life, and you go back home and things just seem to move at such a slower pace than what you're used to, which is not a bad thing, but it's just very nostalgic and bittersweet, I think, at least for me. Okay, I can't tell if this is awful. I think what will help is if I take a blush. So I'm using this Dior blush. This is really pretty, like coral, peachy, orangey color, and I'm applying it with definitely the wrong type of brush, but this is what we're going for. If this video somehow reaches like people who are also living in Chicago, like how are y'all's like skin doing? Because my skin is so rough, it is so dry out here, and I have the heat, like I do blast the heat because I get very cold very easily. but I do have my humidifier running 24/7. I feel like no matter how much moisturizer I put on, no matter how much water I drink, my skin is still so flaky. Okay, I feel like the blush made it a little bit better, but now we're gonna move on to the brows. So I'm quite lacking in the brow department. As you can see, I don't have a lot of hair or color density there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with Benefit's Foolproof Brow Powder, and it's just like, I love this thing. I've used this since high school. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna just kind of go over my brows. This really helps, I think, give them just that base to work with. I really, really wish I was blessed with like naturally looking brows. But I feel like this makes a pretty big difference now. And then I'll go in and shape them with a pencil. Okay, so I just finished putting the powder in, and now I'm gonna go in with Maybelline's Tattoo Studio. I don't know if you can see this, but it's just like a deep brown eyebrow pencil, and I'm gonna draw my eyebrows in. I did go through a phase in high school where I was like drawing them in super super aggressively, which I feel like we maybe all went through that phase in like 2016. Maybe I still do that now. I don't know. Okay, so it looks quite dark and rough right now, but what I like to do is I like to take just an old spoolie and go in, ruffle it up, and hopefully that distributes some of the product and make it not as like densely packed as it is. And I feel like especially for the front, I like to just take my finger and kind of rub in the product. Okay, I like to think that it makes a difference. Who knows? Who can never be sure? Next, we are going to move on to my eyes. So I don't know if the camera will focus, but I get lash extensions done, and these have like majorly changed my life in the way that I've lived, and I don't mean that in the most dramatic sense ever, but they have made a huge difference in my life because I have like the typical like classic Asian short stubby lashes that no matter how many times I curl them, no matter what type of mascara I use, I will never be able to get my eyelashes to look the way that I want them to look. And then I discovered lash extensions like my sophomore or junior year of college because we had one just like a couple minutes away from my apartment, and I can safely say that I have now been addicted to getting them. So I don't wear mascara. What I do like to do is I will take a like short angled brush and I'll go in with the brow powder that I just used and kind of create like a soft brown line. I really think it helps add a little bit more dimension, and it doesn't make it look so like naked, if that makes sense. And then in terms of eyeshadow, I don't typically wear eyeshadow on my day-to-day, just because it makes it a little bit more difficult to clean my extensions. But tonight, since my friends and I are going out to a nice dinner, I thought I would add a little bit of something, a little bit of glitter to my eyelids. So I'll be using this Morphe palette that I literally got in high school as a gift. And I love this palette so much just because there's so many like pinky, earthy tones that I absolutely adore, but I'm not sure which ones I'm going to choose just yet. I'm like thinking through my outfit, so I'm gonna be wearing all black because what else is there to wear for dinner in the winter? But I do want a little bit of brown, I think. So I'm gonna go into my corners, and I'm gonna use this color right here. I say this like I know how to do makeup. So I'll tap, tap, tap. Ooh. Using this angled brush. Oh my god. Tell me why I feel like applying eyeshadow right now, I feel like Kendall Jenner cutting that cucumber. Okay, I literally had to go off camera to do this because what the hell is this? We're just gonna keep blending until we can't blend anymore. Tonight we are going to STK Steakhouse I think it's in River North. Chicago does this thing, which I don't know why I never utilized it in undergrad. They have this thing called Restaurant Week, where a bunch of restaurants will participate for this 1 week, and they'll curate these special like menus, and most of them are like 3-4 courses long. And so STK Steakhouse is one that I've been wanting to try for a while, but it's pretty pricey. And this was really just the perfect time to try it out because you can get like, I think it's like a 3-course dinner for like $59 a person, but I like already know what I want. So for their starters, they have this like burrata, and I would die for burrata, so I'm gonna get burrata as a starter. And then I know for their like entree, there's something with like Wagyu beef in it, and I don't think I've ever had Wagyu. I've definitely never had Wagyu. I don't know why I said I don't think. I feel like I would know. I've never had Wagyu before, so I'm excited to try that. And then there's dessert following, so I'm very, very excited for that. Okay, so I think I've blended it to the best of my ability. And now I'm going to choose what color I want to go like in the inner corner-ish of my eye, because I do want a little bit of sparkle. And I think I'm going to go with this gold. One thing about me is that I absolutely love going out to dinner. I don't really like care if the food is like incredible or if it's just like mediocre. I mean, if it's bad, like the food's bad. But I think the fun part for me is definitely just the whole like getting ready process. I love getting ready. I think there's like nothing funner than getting ready or getting ready like alone or with your girlfriends. Since I work from home now, I don't really tend to put on makeup most days, just because I don't really need to. And also like the whole process of taking off makeup and getting unready is such a hassle for me. So when I do get the chance to actually leave my apartment and go outside and act like a normal human and maybe dress up a little bit, it's a fun time for me. Okay, and since we're going with the glitter theme, I'm gonna go in and take this. This is a really pretty shimmery, like a warmer white glitter, and kind of highlight my nose and my cheekbones. This is always really fun for me because I don't really do this a lot. Can you even, I feel like you can't even really tell. And then I'll go like off of camera and look at myself in the mirror and I like look like a freaking Christmas ornament. Oh, I guess you can't tell. Slay. Oh my god, cute. Look at that. I think also one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this angled brush again with the brow powder and do just like a little wing at the end of my eyes and the inner corners to give them a little bit more definition. One of my goals for 2023 is to start posting on YouTube semi-consistently. I quite like vlogging, so I'm just going to try and start it up again. Another goal that I have for myself is to keep traveling. I traveled quite a bit last year, especially internationally. When I graduated officially in, what was it, like March, two of my close friends and I took a 2-week trip around Europe, and it was just incredible. I had gone previously just like with my mom, but this time in Europe we went to Portugal, we went to France, we went to Switzerland, we went to Italy, and it was incredible. And then I ended up going to Italy again with my boyfriend. We went to Sorrento and Capri. And then a couple months later, I ended up going to Italy again with my mom. We went to Milan in the Cinque Terre province, and it was gorgeous. We did end up getting bed bugs from that trip though, so just, you know, be careful. I will say that that trip to Milan and Cinque Terre with my mom was just like kind of an insane trip all around. Like, we went to Milan to go do some shopping. Like, we both got designer handbags because, as we should when we're abroad. And then when we got to Cinque Terre, we like had this really beautiful, cute Airbnb. But it was during we went in November, so it was their off season, so there weren't that many Airbnbs available. They don't really have a lot of hotels in the town that we were staying in, so we did do an Airbnb. And we did notice that there were bed bugs like the first night, but there were literally like no other properties that we could go to. So we just had to stay there for the second night. And then we had to fly back we trained back from Cinque Terre back to Milan, and then flew from Milan to Paris at like 3 a.m. and then flew from Paris back to Dallas. So we landed in Dallas at around like 4 p.m. And then that night I had a flight at like 10:30 p.m. to go visit my boyfriend who was in New Zealand at the time. So it was like a crazy, like not even, it was probably like 48 hours of traveling completely. But it's well worth it because I did get to go to New Zealand, and New Zealand was gorgeous. I'm gonna add some mascara to my bottom lashes. And then in the first week of the new year, my college friend group and I did a week-long trip, and we went to Cancun, Mexico, which was also a lot of fun. We stayed at an all-inclusive, which was fantastic, and I highly recommend. Okay, but this is the final face look. I'm going to go do my hair, and then I will come back and do lips. Okay, I am so late for dinner. Here is the final look. I did my hair and my lips. Yeah, talk to you guys soon.